Hi, this is Steve Edison for the Movements Podcast, the podcast for people who want to multiply disciples and churches everywhere. Today we're talking to Rachel and Troy Cooper about their No Place Left journey from Florida to Southern California.
God has done far more than anything we could have imagined. When we came down here 4 years ago, we were invited by a church, Covenant Fellowship Baptist Church, that didn't really know what they were getting into. They just loved Jesus and believed the Lord wanted us to come down and serve as missionaries to Florida. And my nephew, Braden, was down here. He was a high school student at the time and was seeing some disciples made and training some believers. And so it got the local pastor, Matt Price's, attention. And so when they invited us down here, we didn't really know a whole lot of people. It was us and it was Braden. And we were at the time just kind of adapting some of the trainings that we'd learned from Asia. And so we were just, honestly, we were really we had big vision, but we were really just hoping to see some people come to Christ. And I don't think we were even starting churches at the time, and wanted to see some multiplication. And in the last 4 years, we have just seen God do immeasurably more people hearing the gospel, more leaders raised up, more teams. We've got teams. I think we've got about 17 teams now that are pursuing No Place Left. And there's 5 major sections of Florida, and there's teams in all major sections of Florida. It's seeing just lives transformed. It's overwhelming, honestly, to think of what all the Lord has done, and especially as we get out of the way and allow others to step up and lead, let the locals lead.
I'm just amazed. When we moved here, our oldest daughter was in 5th grade and our 4th grade, and now she's in 8th grade. She's finishing out her 8th grade year. And just to see that children can do this too. It is so simple. Jesus's method and his words are so simple that even children can understand, and children can pass that along. And living here in Florida is where I saw it firsthand. And I just remember when Maya was in 6th grade, she led one of her little friends to Jesus. And it was the most unlikely person. Maya thought, there's no way this girl is going to believe. But she shared a simple gospel message with her using the 3 circles. And the girl was like, yeah, I'm in brokenness and I need to be in God's design. And so they set up a time to meet the following Saturday at a local bookstore. Well, we get there and I'm thinking I'm going to help out. So I'm like sitting in there with them, And I 5 minutes into it, I realize, what am I doing here? Maya is fully equipped, fully trained, and she's 12 years old and she's got this. So the Lord has taught me that that children can be taught by the Lord, just like it says in Isaiah, and that we can equip them to reach their peers. And it has been such a joy to watch them walk alongside of these new believers that they've led to Christ. So, yeah.
So you're sort of, because I noticed at different trips, Troy's grab one of the kids and come away and let's go train, and the kids are involved in that. But also locally, they're involved. As a family, you're involved in your neighborhood. What's that look like?
Well, I think it's more practically lived out in the day-to-day. I think early on when we were doing a lot more harvest engagements on a regular basis, they would come with us. But we're at a season now where we still go out in the harvest, but it's mostly with other leaders. It's mostly we're mostly leaders now. But so instead of a House of Peace search, they're praying for people in their oikos at school, and they're sharing the gospel at least on a weekly basis. And so much so that we won't hear about it unless we ask them. It's just become it's like breathing for them.
Yeah.
They pray for people. They share the gospel. They disciple the fruit. They get a lot of people that say no. But they're seeing the miracle of salvation happen in people. And
Well, what I'm thinking too is when you asked that question, it made me think when Troy said we're not as much out engaging in that way with strangers, but it's more within our children's oikos. Mm-hmm. So I have a lot of involvement with the parents of my kids' friends. And then I'm just thinking an example just last week, Maya in her class was given an assignment. There was a note on the whiteboard or whatever, and it said, get out a piece of paper and a pencil. And then the assignment was, it had to start with this sentence called, I will not stay on the line. Is that what it was?
Stay inside the lines.
Yeah, I will not stay inside the lines. So, and then they had to finish out their like statement. And basically it was this English teacher wants the students to be like, I'm going to stand up for this and I'm not going to let culture control me. Well, Maya had this opportunity, 30 students in her class. And this teacher had everybody stand up and read their paper. Yeah. So Maya wrote down, I refused to write in the lines because, and then just went on to share why. And, it's because Jesus didn't. Jesus went against everything culture said, and he came to bring a new way and all these things. And I just think stuff like that.
Overtly shares the gospel.
Yeah.
And why she following Jesus with her life and how it's different than the culture. And so this impromptu writing assignment, always be prepared to give an answer, right? Yeah. And so she filled a page with a powerful, meaningful gospel presentation, which she thought was just for her teacher, but it ended up being for the entire class. Yeah. She stood up and read and shared the gospel with her entire class. And
and several of the girls came up to her afterwards and just was like, thank you for sharing that. And they had some questions. So, I just think how awesome it is that Maya prays for opportunities and then God gives them to her. And actually she came home that day and she said, Mom, I've been praying for an opportunity. I've been praying for more opportunities. And then God put this just right in front of me, and it's just neat to see young people being used by Jesus. So,
and even the little one, like our 7-year-old Lucy, like we'll go to the skate park quite a bit, and the boys have started a skate park Bible study there from sharing the gospel. They got these 3 circle stickers on the bottom of their skateboard, and so they'll share with kids. And but Lucy, our 7-year-old, came up to Rachel and said, "Hey, Mom, I just shared the gospel with that man over there." And we were like, "What?" And she's like, "Yeah, I just said, I went up to him. I said, God is awesome." And he's like, "Oh," and she goes, "And I couldn't remember the 3 circles. So I just told him the story of Daniel." Okay.
And how God saved Daniel.
Yeah. So
Guy is never going to forget that encounter with the 7-year-old.
It's just flowing out of their hearts. And, they spend time with the Lord every morning, and it's meaningful. It's real time. The Holy Spirit is in them, and then he prompts them and they respond. And it's such a joy for us because we're literally watching and learning from our kids. We've learned a ton. One would be family church and just learning from what God is doing through family church in West Palm Beach. They've gone from 5 churches to 11 churches. They've gone from 2,500 to over 4,000 people. And so they're seeing the kingdom multiply. And just, the leadership of Pastor Jimmy Scroggins and Robbie Christmas there. We're seeing it's expanding to other cities. I think just the Acts 1:8 principle of just drilling down where you're at, praying, making disciples. And then as opportunities open up, we go and we serve. And so next week, there's actually a 4 fields intensive in Jacksonville that the Jacksonville people are leading themselves. So now we're seeing, I think it was just 2 years ago, we had, that was the one that Jacob Vi came to, and Augie, we met Augie at. We did the first big 4 fields training down here in Florida. Now Jacksonville, they're there leading their own, Jensen Beach, they just led their own. So we're seeing training to the point where it seems like a benchmark when a city team is able to lead their own 4 fields intensive. They're taking ownership of the content. We've also met, thanks to you, we met this Christian Surfers International from Salty Church in the Daytona Beach area. And we've been able to work with them. And are actually doing a training in France with their global network. That came out of Florida.
I didn't get my invitation to go hang out with surfers in France. Is that, was I forgotten, or
it's in your inbox? You just need it's on France time.
What about the bigger picture around the US and beyond? What are you seeing happen?
Well, and this connects with the bigger picture out of Florida. Is, we've talked quite a bit, but Augie and his family, we prayed and fasted for just really believing that the resources, the people are in the harvest. And we're seeing that the leadership that's leading cities, but also on the Florida level, we got the Clark family and the Carswells and Kevin Maxwell and even some other families that are seeing some faithful work, like the Dobbs family and people in other cities like Tommy Mon up in Tampa, who's laboring up in Tampa, but is seeing movements in Cuba. Lee Wood up in Tampa with One Body. So there's it's been amazing to see the kingdom multiply, but also relationships that are formed as we're kind of learning and serving with each other. But on a global scale, just that God had Augie waiting here. He was installing countertops, and now this brother is within a year, literally was leading a training for all 21 Spanish-speaking nations in the world. And
we were praying for that Spanish speaker. We were praying for that. So it's so cool to see that God had Augie prepared.
And his family. Scuba and I just went down to visit them. They've been in Peru for 3 months and just serving the work there in a number of cities. And to get to go and travel with this family, I mean, it's a stressful thing to move your whole family to another country. And they're thriving. They're doing really well. And to see his wife Jeanette really involved in the work. I'm getting to go around and see these village huts out in the mountains where they're using 3/3, they're using 3 circles, they're using 411, they're using the church circle drawing for church health. And we got to see a witch doctor and his family who had come to Christ 3 weeks before. It was a house of peace. And I saw 2 generations multiply within that family that night at that church. And Jeanette's the one who shared the gospel, did the follow-up. Augie's wife. And so to see this, and you mentioned the family, it's a culture here among NoPlaceLeft now that we're seeing strong marriages, strong families, really obeying the Great Commission together. But I learned a ton by watching not only what Augie was doing, but to see God's kingdom multiply across Latin America. And that came out of here. The other thing we're seeing too is the next generation of leaders. The 98% of leadership is bivocational, but we're also seeing the key full-time family here that's leading with the other full-timers, Tom and Dana. They're 30 and they're in their early 30s. Rick Priato is leading strategy up in Gainesville. He's 23 years old. Braden Olson down in Boca Raton. He's 21 and his wife is 19. Yeah. They've started a church that's reproducing. And so, and we're seeing this across the network as a whole. I mean, across North America, but these millennials are amazing. And the leadership and the level of their capacity to jump into the work quickly is it's just exciting to get to serve them. I feel like our role right now has been, I mean, transition is never easy. But I think with the teams that are here, it's just been such a gift to just watch them lead and just try to serve them as best we can. I really feel like as we go, they're gonna take things to a whole nother level that I feel like we're going to slow them down, honestly. We thought we were going to be here for the next 20 years. And, but about about 2 years ago, Maya and I got invited out by John and Evelyn Lowe at Epicenter Church in Pasadena to come cast vision for a training. And that was coming up. And so, we go out there and it was the first time that Maya had really spoken in front of people. Malachi, he'd come to visit you in the UK, was really the one that was comfortable. And so he was kind of getting the spotlight. And he actually pulled me aside and said, "Hey, Dad, you need to include Maya and Isaiah more. They can do this." And so that was my first time. I took Maya with me. So I was at the prompting of my son. I brought her with me, and she got up and in front of a room of 120 pastors and leaders shared the story of leading her friend to Christ. And everyone was weeping afterwards. And I'm the guy that's got a follower, like, good grief, I don't want to follow this. But she said, "Dad, this is Los Angeles. We need to come here."
Okay.
And I was like, I think she was 12 at the time. I said, "Maya, we were just getting seeing momentum happen in South Florida. We were just seeing rhythm with the team. We didn't have any streams of fourth generation church. It was, but she's like, we need to pray about coming here." And I was just like, "I don't want to come here. The traffic, the cost of living, we're rooted in Florida." But she pleaded. She said, "Let's at least pray." And so we began to pray, God, raise somebody up. And then we just began to prioritize training on the West, because it did cause me to kind of look at, I had a new role in the U.S. role with E3, serving with Jeff. And as we're looking at the U.S., it was like, wow, Western United States is kind of anemic with trainings. I don't know if it's the SBC network or what it was, but so we just began to prioritize trainings and move them to the top of the list. We get any call from the West Coast, it's like, let's go, or let's send somebody. So we began to, really form relationships with people out there and kind of learn about the need that is out there. And we went out there a year ago to do a first touch of training in Southern California. And I brought Rachel and the three older ones. And we came home and we fasted and prayed for a week, and the Lord confirmed that we were supposed to leave and go to Southern California and to serve, to focus on the 7 counties of Southern California. There's about 23 million people there, and really prioritize the Western United States from the Rockies west as relatively new territory with respects to NoPlaceLeft. And so that was a year ago. Actually, we were in Dublin together, just really praying through, and I was ready to go in like 5 minutes. And the Lord, through our mentor, Jeff, said, "Wait another year." And so we're at about, I think we're exactly 7 weeks from today is when we're going to be going.
And how's the family feeling about all that?
Yeah, they're really excited. They have this heart to make Jesus known. And at least speaking about the older 3, they feel like they've reached their oikos. Everyone in their oikos they've shared the gospel with. And so they're, through this prayer and fasting that they did about California, they just got excited about the new relationships and just more opportunities to lead people to the Lord. And the younger kids they're just all, Lucy and Tessa, they're excited. They're just always, they trust this guy. He's got they have such great relationship with their dad. So, they know that they can trust him, and they're excited.
We're excited.
Yeah.
I mean, we're, it's like those first trainings in a country or in a city. It's like the first fruits, it's these people that are just like desperate. They've been waiting for this for years. And, so, I mean, we're already just in Southern California, there's 6 teams that are there. And in San Francisco, Northern California, there's 3 teams. And so we've already got 9 teams in California, and there's a team in Denver and in Boise, and in Salt Lake City, and there's some other teams that are forming out west. But So we've got relationships with people there. There's churches there that we love and that love us, that we've formed a close relationship with. As these 3-touch trainings with a 4-day and a mid-level. One of the beauties of that is you get time with people. You're staying in their home and you get to hear their story and learn about their heart. So this is, these relationships are deep, and so our kids have gotten to come, and we're going to land in the Long Beach area, just on the southern part of LA. And there's a church there, Bridges Church, that has really loved on our kids, and that we see as a good place for our team to base ourselves. And so they're excited. We asked them about, just with opportunities to travel, would they be interested in homeschooling? And they're like, no, like that's our mission field. We want to be in the public school. That's our mission field. And I've actually tried to nudge them, because I'd love to.
Hey, Malachi.
Good night.
Hey, Tessa.
Night.
Right.
Well, one thing also that I just need to say is that there is a lot more of the nations represented on the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
And so our kids each have a heart for different nations that they've been praying about. And it's been exciting for them to be like, oh, you mean there might be a lot of Indonesian people there? Or, oh, there's a lot of people from Africa or Uganda there. Yeah, there might be. And, Lucy,
China or Japan.
Yeah, China, Japan. Lucy loves to pretend to speak Spanish. So she's very excited to learn Spanish. So
she makes up words.
She does. She's actually... But just stuff like that. We're really excited about the nations represented there too, and just the impact that will have on our kids in the public school. Yeah.
Well, and Rachel grew up in Japan, so she's Japanese. This is a cross-cultural marriage, and she's gotten to learn about American culture from me.
Yes.
So you can only imagine how much fun that was for me.
Yeah.
No, I think God's prepared Rachel, almost like made her for this. And she's just got a love for people, and she's very strong, but very sweet. And so I'm excited to see how God's going to use her out there in that community. She feels more at home, I think, because of a larger Asian population there. And it's kind of her people.
You're probably 4 hours closer to Australia, and only a 17-hour flight.
It's a true story.
There it is.
That's a local trip when you live in Australia, 17 hours.
But I think different than Florida, we were still figuring, you walked with us the last 4 years. We were still trying to figure out, what are we doing, and what does our training look like, and how do we do this, and how do we form teams? And I think there's clarity right now on, it doesn't mean it's the only way to do it, but I feel like we've got some best practice tools, some processes. We've learned how to work with churches. I feel like, within NoPlaceLeft, we've got a reputation now that we're working with churches. So there's opportunities to drop in and train right away. We've got 2 other families that are coming with us, the Pucketts in Boone, who's going to focus on North America with me at E3, and then Rick and Jenny Priato from Gainesville, who are on their way to Asia in a couple years, but they want to spend their first couple years of marriage with us. Yeah.
What's He put on your heart for that part of the world? What are you trusting Him for?
Well, we are praying for God to establish 500 teams in the next 3 years, and specifically in those 7 counties of Southern California. And we're hoping out of there to establish 50 residencies that are going to become just training and mobilization centers to the nations. LA is like a mosaic. So there's pockets of people groups all over, and they're homogenous. They stay together. And so we need to see people that have a passion for some specific places that will want to go into these different communities to bring the gospel. And so that's what we're trusting the Lord for. So we have 6 teams right now in Southern California. We're praying in the next 3 years it'll be 500, multiple coalitions, what we're calling hub cities, which is places that we're seeing movement that are receiving and mobilizing units to the gaps locally or overseas.
Practically for me, I just have a heart for people and for them to come to know Jesus. Like Troy said earlier, specifically Japanese people. I love them, and I get emotional. I'm excited to see what God might put in my path. So I've been praying and asking God to put us at the right house, even this morning, just the right house, the right neighborhood, the right school, and lead us to the right people who need to hear his message, that their hearts would be ignited and they would have a passion for their home country. So whatever that would look like, for if it's an American who was born and raised in the United States and they need to reach their family, or it's a Japanese person who was born and raised in America and they realize, I need to go back to my mother country and reach my people. I'm just excited about that. And I'm just excited to see, and I'm hopeful to see how God is going to grow our children during this next season of being more in a more international setting, a bigger city than what we're used to here in our small town. And so I am praying and very hopeful for on just a practical everyday, and just to be able to walk alongside people. I love 4 years ago when God brought us here, I was praying, fasting and praying that God would allow me to see a person go from not knowing Jesus at all to a baby Christian, and that I would be able to walk alongside of them. And then I just got addicted to that process. I absolutely love seeing people grow and fall in love with Christ, and that relationship to grow as they abide with him every day. So I'm just looking forward to more of those relationships out there.
And to stay in touch with the Coopers, go to coopersonamission.com. I'm Steve Addison for the Movements Podcast.